Before the podcast begins, this recording is actually taking place right after my recording of the podcast. The only reason why I'm recording this is because I'm letting you guys know that this podcast was supposed to come out on Tuesday, but unfortunately for me, I wasn't expecting anything more than other chapter releases, as well as wasn't being prepared as I was busy with other materials that I was already begun. So because of this, this podcast is technically only a Tuesday podcast, not a whenever it is posted podcast. So pretty much it's still going to be only 1 week, which this is it. So next week we will starting to have 2 per week once again, because no more golden week and no more breaks, and I will be ahead of time at the very least. At least I can start planning well instead of like try to find a way to fit in and try to think of what to say. So at least I got as much as I can to say for Dragon Ball Super new series. So that's all I wanted to tell you. This was supposed to come out much earlier. I do apologize for taking this long. So hopefully next time I'll be more prepared whenever it happens again like this. So until then, see you next time. Oh wait, we got a podcast. Not see you next time. See you now. Here you go. Enjoy.
It has been 18 years since I wished for another Dragon Ball series. 18 years. And it finally came true with Super.
Well, to be honest, I did not wish for this. In fact, I actually wished for a remake more than a new series. But hey, close enough, I guess. Seriously, this is the biggest news that we have been witnessing and for ourselves in this entire year, or perhaps even entire decades, for America at the very least, because this was a groundbreaking news to the point that it's trending worldwide, or trending just in the United States, in Twitter and in Tumblr and in everywhere else in social media. It is staggering. It is unbelievable that we're finally getting a new Dragon Ball series after 18 years. It almost seems like a big glitch in the computer telling you that they were getting a new Dragon Ball series, and it is really true. It's not a glitch. It's not a typo. It is real. We are getting a new Dragon Ball series. So, what do I think about this? Well, to begin with, let's go over with the other news, because this is obviously the biggest news that we have seen so far, and this is probably the biggest news for an entire year, because this thing is a unbelievable turn of event in terms of the anime and manga universe. Yes, I know this franchise has been, cash grab for such a long time. Yes, I know it is perhaps, I guess you could say overrated, maybe, but it is a childhood memory for a lot of people, for Japan, for the United States, all over the country, all over the entire world. But let's not talk about that yet. Let's just recuperate right now that we're actually getting to see another Dragon Ball series, for better or worse, depends on your view. And yeah, let's get over with the entire other news. That there are some amount of news that I wish that I remember to recollect them, but this has been a golden week, so it's going on, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting to have a lot of materials to talk about for Tuesday's episode or even Friday. In fact, I won't be doing a Friday's episode this week because of the golden week. You're pretty much not gonna get no weekly Shonen Jump mangas. And, it's only with Bleach and One Piece, and it's still soon to be for other series that I'm still trying to figure out which one to fill in the blanks, the space. So, that's only the series I could think of. And I know I have the Boku no Hero Academia, but that's from last week. So we're not going to expect anything for this week. And surprisingly, I guess you could say the other weekly magazine with Fairy Tail, Nanatsu no Tensei, aka Seven Deadly Sins, apparently they have their own chapters. I don't know if it's a leak. I don't know. They don't really follow the Golden Week schedule. I don't know anything about that, and I just know there was no Tokyo Ghoul chapter, which is disappointing. Luckily, we just have the Fairy Tail and Seven Deadly Sins. And I think that's all that we have. But hey, it's better than nothing. So at least I could cover the material for this week's episode. And, you know, Golden Week is a good opportunity to take a break and do some explorations on my parts, especially with my materials on this podcast, since I like to recollect new information and start to practice and start to adapt to this whole podcast recording so I could get better at it, and then I could start spreading the words and making sure I don't mess up myself like so many times in the past. This is the 10th episode of Sparda's World, and I'm your host, Sparda 3G, doing my thing and still learning how to do the recording just right and everything else. I'm going to get a wallpaper for this thing, a little icon of the channel. The channel will get organized. I was actually going to save the extras of, I was going to use the extras to cover my thoughts on the new Dragon Ball series. But instead, I'll just do it here, since it is going to be a short episode. Well, it would have been much shorter if Fairy Tail and Nanatsu no Taizai, but you know, the fact that these chapters just came out of the blue, or whatever was the case of scenario, I got more stuff to cover now for this episode. So not only that, I'm just gonna talk about the news quickly. Again, this is Golden Week. That means a lot of manga series, mainly the mainstream ones, like the Weekly Shonen Jump one, are in fact taking a 1 week break, unless you get a early leak. But then that means for you guys who follows the leak spoilers, the leak chapters, that means the next week you won't get a chapter. So there's that way. One way or another, you gotta wait. But yes, officially there is no chapter this week, and pretty much you gotta well, technically there is a chapter this week or something. I don't know. I haven't followed the official rules in a while. But seriously, there is no chapters this week, so bear in mind you could handle this. You've been doing this for like such a long time. It's not the end of the world. Everybody got other things to do, other mangas to read, anime to catch up, watch, whatever, anything. You have a lot of free time in your hand now, so it's a good thing. So a lot of things has been happening, especially coming with Dragon Ball, and I don't mean just the series itself, but even the mangaka himself, the Akira Toriyama. Apparently he is collaborating a new manga series. I don't know if it's going to be a short series, a one-shot series. I don't know, because the last work was only a mini series, and that was about it. I don't know if he's truly thinking about making a whole new series, like something basically like another Dragon Ball or any long running series. I don't know if he's planning to do that. He is coming up with the story for the new series, and yeah, that's pretty much is gonna be the case. But this one is different, because I believe he is only going to do the story, and I think the illustration will be done by someone else, another mangaka. So that's an interesting way, because personally I see Akira Toriyama. I mean, I'm not saying his illustration is simple, but it captured the simplicity, and it connects easily. Again, like these characters you see from Dragon Ball or any of his work are pretty simple, but it's just I don't know, so life I don't know, it's something about them. It just feels very larger than life, I guess you could say. It's simple, and when it comes to story, I haven't read all his work, but I don't remember him being a great storytelling, or maybe like something complexity or anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with that, because he does write a simple story, and it's straight to the point, and it could be a fun story like Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was all about fighting. I mean, it had some story, but that's like that's like literally a second thought, especially after Frieza saga. But when it comes to story itself, like in Dragon Ball, it's all fun and games. It's simple, and it's nothing to overthink yourself. It's nothing to try to find a moral lesson or anything like that. It's just a simple thing. So hearing this kind of concept, I don't know. I mean, I'll give it. I'll definitely check it out myself. I'm just used to him doing both, and it's just kind of strange collaboration that he's going to do the story aspect. I'm not saying he's bad. I can't really say he's bad. It's just I don't expect like a award winning or anything like very strong storytelling from like a lot of mangas that we have today. So I mean, I'm not trying to shot firing him. I'm not, because I do like the guy and I like his work, especially Dragon Ball and other works that not a lot of people actually read them. And I do remember his illustration. I do like his illustration. I like his art style. Again, it is very simple, but it is what it is, and I find them to be enjoyable for what it is. It's just him doing the story and the other guy doing the art. I don't know if he could do the art, the story, but I could be surprised. Maybe he would do something incredible, or maybe he just keep it simple again, which I don't mind. I'm just surprised he's not doing the art. But then again, maybe it's just the age thing. I don't know. But hey, anything is a welcome. So he should be feeling free to do whatever he wants to do, and this is part of it. So I'm down with that, and should be interesting. If it's really a long-running series, it's going to be a 12 mini series, or it's going to be like a series, whatever. I just want to see if he really put his work to his mind to it. So we'll find out what he could do. But yeah, we'll see. Because again, his story is just simple. It's fun in games, but I don't ever see his story being like very captivating or very like a very dramatic piece. But we'll see. So obviously we get to the real story, and that's pretty much Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is getting a new series. Now, I kind of have to drop a lot of news part, because this pretty much this is all about Dragon Ball. And before I even get to the new series, actually, it occurred to me that the movie is doing really well at the box office. It almost hit 2 billion yen in the second week. It hit over 1 billion yen in 7 days, which is very impressive. And again, in the second week, I believe they're at 1.85 billion yen. So they almost already hitting 2 billion. They're aiming for 4 billion yen in their run in Japan. I don't know if they say in Japan, but if they did say in Japan, then this is a good challenge to see if they can really make it. But because I'm talking about the movie, and because I'm talking about everything that's contributing to the Dragon Ball series, the reason why I'm saying this, because when you really think about it, all these events, all these impacts that Dragon Ball still have today, Dragon Ball was always popular and is always going to be popular. And from what I see, Toei seems to take an advantage ever since maybe I guess you could say Kai. Ever since just Kai, Dragon Ball Kai, where the TV rating was really going up, where the people were drawn to the whole concept of remastering scenes, reanimating scenes, the action scenes, having the intro that kind of mocks the world, because it's like, look at the animation, look at the art, it looks so updated, but we're not gonna get that because it's not a real remake. All that other stuff. Dragon Ball has been around for so long. Again, the original version ended like 18 years ago. And of course, they're going to dismiss Dragon Ball GT as much as they can. And again, even so, this series is just too popular. You get so many different DVD collection, VHS collection back then. We got the Dragon Box, and then you got the Dragon Ball Z remaster, and then a remaster again, but in a Blu-ray edition. But apparently it has more softer touch or something, more cleaner filter. I don't know. It's just, It just keep on coming. They keep on coming and coming and coming and coming. I know I'm talking about America only, but it still keep on coming, you know. And of course, Japan is still very popular with Dragon Ball. It's not like it's just a US thing. It is everywhere. So then we have Kai. It almost sounds like a dream come true. That is until you actually watch the anime, and it's pretty much the same thing, but it all cut down to a manga pacing, which is not bad. I guess my childhood senses just wanted to have a remake just to see how it looks in the next gen design, but that's just me. So, but seriously, because of all the sales, because of these remasters, all other stuff. Then when they put Battle of the Gods, this is something everybody was like, oh my god, new Dragon Ball with all high definition, 1080p, blah. You know, blah, 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 blah. It's a remarkable. Stuff like that. You know, ever since that happened, Dragon Ball just tells you it's never gonna die. The legend's never gonna die. This is a popular series. True, Japan, maybe they see One Piece more popular than Dragon Ball. But Dragon Ball is not like a far distant second. It's just second. So, again, that's a huge accomplishment. Dragon Ball does make TV ratings. Does get garnered a lot of money from the box office. It sells a lot of games, merchandise, whatever you can name. So, what's the next best thing to do? Make a new anime series. And they finally done it. They finally pulled the trigger. Personally, I thought it was going to be a remake, but they pulled the trigger to have a new series. And they're calling this Dragon Ball Super. Interesting choice. The reason why they picked that name, I believe, because they said themselves, you know, we always say super in a lot of commercials. Super, Dragon Ball, Super, 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 Super. So why not call it Dragon Ball Super? So, yeah. Okay. That's a good decision, I guess. I guess it doesn't really matter in the end. So I guess we finally could say we have Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. Or as some people start to call it, Dragon Ball S. Whatever it fits for you. So, yes, this is a new series. This is a new saga. We're going to get a new saga. That, again, we've managed to find a way to have someone stronger than Majin Buu and Frieza. And I do believe he's talking about the golden Frieza from Resurrection of F. So, yeah, this is a new series. And it's going to premiere, I believe, in July or summer 2015 at the very least. This year. So, get ready for that. It's a crazy summer. I don't know how long it's going to last, though. I think it might just last... Maybe not so long. Maybe not like 291 episode or whatever Kai made it up to be right now. I don't know how many episodes they have. Will have. I just don't know. But maybe you just enjoy the ride or something like that. You know? Because it's Dragon Ball. Now, a lot of people give their opinions. And a lot of people give their thoughts. I see a lot of nostalgicness from a lot of people. Like, I can't believe I'm about to see a new Dragon Ball. I'm hype and stuff like that. You see it trending worldwide. Some people will say, why continue this? Why keep milking the franchise? Why you keep cash and grab? Why? Just let the legend die. That belongs to the past. Stop erupting into the future. Well, okay. My opinion is this. Again, I was expecting a remake, more so than getting a new series or a new saga, whatever they want to take. Which, by the way, supposedly takes place, I think 10 years. I don't know if they said a year. I just know it takes place after Majin Buu saga. That's given. So, that's given, and that's all I got. So, yeah, that's all I got for that one. And now, again, I was hoping for a remake. I didn't get my remake. I got Kai. It's good, but I want a remake. Selfish as that. I want a remake. But seriously, we ended up getting a new saga after Buu. Supposedly we're going to have Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, whatever that name is. The blue hair Super Saiyan, I don't know. I haven't seen a movie, let alone Battle of Gods, but I'm about to see them now because Dragon Ball new series is coming. So I'm gonna get to that. And well, in all honesty, after learning about this, I just say I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. I mean, I do hate the fact it's getting milk, but what can you do? It is a huge money making. Again, the ratings is great. The box office doing so good. The merchandise is selling well as usual. It's still being talked about heavily in worldwide, not just Japan. So it's going to continue on for a long time. Don't know how long. But yeah, overall, I'm okay with this. And, I'm not gonna be like the king has returned. The master of all animes and mangas has returned. Because I know a lot of people sees that way. Now, granted, I do see it as an honorable mention of my entire life of watching all mangas and anime, because again, this has a childhood effect to me. Yes, Naruto is the one that opened the gate for me, but Dragon Ball Z was there first. The only reason why I cannot call it an open gate to me, because Dragon Ball Z ended. It ended already when America was giving it Toonami with the entire 5 new episodes per week, which sounded so amazing at the time, but I didn't know it already ended. I was so weirded out seeing the clips. Yeah, this is before we get to download or stream full episode. So yeah, I was so bewildered. Like, I'm seeing clips that didn't even happen in America. I'm seeing clips of Frieza getting chopped in half by Trunks' sword. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm seeing a violence thing that I don't see in the American version, because obviously they have ocean dub, or the fact that it's in broadcast, so you can't see blood or very, for Dragon Ball world, intense violence. So yeah, it was a strange childhood, but everything ended. I didn't know Dragon Ball. I know Dragon Ball GT exists, but I didn't know Dragon Ball GT was like not by Kira Toriyama or not good. Well, okay, I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, but for what it is, Dragon Ball GT is something. I haven't seen it in a long time, but something tells me I probably just might not like it at all, or might be like, it is cash grab. There's no mistaking. I'm not saying every cash grab could be a bad thing, but when it comes to saying cash grab, that means like at times it would mean like you're not gonna put any effort because you don't have a real heart to it. You only put in there so you could get more money from us, from the fans. That's how I see it. So Dragon Ball GT most likely be the same case. Just asking for fans, please spend more money. We're gonna sell merchandise of Super Saiyan 4, Goku, action figures with Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and you can fuse into this and that and whatever, all that craziness, whatever. But yeah, so leading all the way to 18 years later, going to, as a 26-year-old guy, yes, that's my age, I'm 26 years old, and looking at Dragon Ball coming back with a new series. Maybe back in my childhood, I would have been super excited. I would have been jumping like a little kid. Probably go whoopee, just be like crying. Well, maybe not crying, but I probably just lost for words, and I probably just go, oh my god, 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 oh my god. I probably just buy wallpaper, scrolls. I don't know. I'll go complete 100% Dragon Ball Z fanboy. I don't know. But seriously, even though it's been that long, and even though it's obviously cash grab and everything else, I'm still definitely looking forward to it. Just because nostalgicness is getting the best out of me in this case. And it didn't leave a bad note, at least in my opinion. Sure, Majin Buu wasn't that great, or perhaps not even that good. I mean, it had some good moments, but it's obviously after Frieza, a lot of things were a little bit... It got that Dragon Ball formula that everybody seems to know so well now. But other than that, I'm curious, and I don't mind. And I wouldn't mind to watch some of the new episodes. It's crazy to even say that. Like, I can't wait for a new Dragon Ball. It sounds so crazy in the year 2015, especially when Dragon Ball already ended. Now, I do wish it just should have just ended completely. No more. Don't do anything to it. If you want a remake, be my guest. But new series, a little. I'm iffy. I can't say I'm too excited. I'm interested though. Definitely interested. I'm not too excited. I'm not calling it King of Kings is back and stuff like that. But again, it is Dragon Ball. It is part of my childhood. So is the nostalgia thing coming back to me. I won't let it affect me so much. The only reason that I'm a little that I'm interested is not only just for nostalgic, but it's the idea of Akira Toriyama if he's really serious about this series. And what I mean is that I hope he doesn't half-ass this story. I hope he put effort to it, because it's clear he didn't put that much effort in the other ones. I know this guy is not a great storytelling or heavy on the storytelling, but like I said, when you look at Dragon Ball, it's just fun. It was a fun series, and Dragon Ball Z, it has a lot of classical moments, stuff like with the whole rivalry, the whole big explosion, the whole crazy fighting. I don't know, the destroying planets, but there's some elements that you just know it's like there's no effort to put it in these. It's like a lot of just thrown in and whatnot. I know Akira Toriyama just wanted to end it a long time ago, but still, the fact that he came up with this brand new story, so I want to know if he's serious about this, as in like, hey, we're gonna see something like some Saiyan Saga quality or Frieza Saga quality, or even Dragon Ball. I'm not saying they're gonna do all that funny comedy shtick, but I'm just saying like more of a just like more choreographed. But then again, we're up to Super Saiyan, so I doubt it. But it is interesting to see that the Akira Toriyama is actually putting work to this one. I don't know how the animation would be like. A lot of people keep telling me Sailor Moon Crystal was a huge disappointment in regarding to the animation, probably anything else. But I'm interested to see this for nostalgic, and I hope they don't botch this, because it only tells me maybe they're gonna do this and tell us, what do you think? Is it good? Is it bad? And it could go the latter, because hey, it depends on the animation, the animator, the story, well, whatever it is, the characterization, especially like Vegeta, and a lot of people keep bad mouthing the fact he danced in the second last movie. I have no idea what happened. I gotta see the movie. And the latest movie, despite the fact that it has a great box office sale at the time, it didn't receive a great positive review. I mean, it's getting more positive now, but there were pretty good amount of negative, to the point that it's a mixed review. But now it's like mixed to positive, sort of. But still, it is pretty much telling the world, or at least Japan, since they're the only one that get to see it, with probably a few other places, that it's enough is enough. The new series, maybe you're pushing down the line, but who knows? Maybe just maybe it will be good for this. I'm pretty sure it's gonna garner a good, huge rating, but in terms of quality, I don't know. I'm not gonna let my nostalgia just beat me, kind of like how maybe Digimon Adventure Try would do, but still, I am interested just because, hey, it's 18 years. We're about to see a new animation, new characters, new fighting. Hopefully they buff up Gohan, because I keep hearing Gohan has been has been nerfed out, has been downplayed heavily, which is disappointing. But I know he's a family man, especially when you look at Resurrection of F. He is family man, a family guy. So I don't know. I'm hoping they don't make it only a Goku and Vegeta spotlight. You know, the usual thing that you got from Majin Buu Saga. There's a lot of possibility. Maybe I just don't know what to expect. So I guess that's another bright side. And I guess that's what helps me to be interested in this series. So yeah, I'm not going too crazy as in calling the King of King or making it the best anime ever is back or anything like that. But it's definitely a very memorable series. Definitely a legacy of its own in terms of groundbreaking in the United States and all over the countries. You know, Dragon Ball is back. So I'm interested to see this. Yeah, that's what I can say. I can't say you know, it's extremely it's gonna be the best anime ever. Maybe it can, I don't know. But low chance. But still, it is for nostalgic. And to be honest with you, the fact that 18 years after the last series, for so long, just for me to see this day to actually happen, it's actually pretty blessing. It really is my childhood. So, yeah, I'm happy. I know it's milked. I know it's obviously there for cash. But hey, I want to see it because it just hit the childhood marking point, and I'm happy to see Dragon Ball coming back again. More or less. Alright. So, we will review those episodes when the show finally begins. In due time. So, let's talk about the chapters for, let's see, we have Fairy Tail, The Seven Deadly Sins, and Boku no Hero Academia. No Tokyo Ghoul, and there won't be no One Piece and Bleach, and that'll be it. So again, there won't be no episode this Friday, so it's only gonna be this Tuesday or probably Wednesday, because I'm pretty late with this recording ever since the fact that, well, again, this Golden Week has been losing my mind because I don't know what's coming out first or not. What's not coming out or is coming out. So I'm a little late. So I apologize for that. But at least I get to wait up and give you the big news on Dragon Ball new TV series. At least I got to that. So, yeah. Alright. Let's get to the chapter and let's start with Fairy Tail. You know, when the idea of Golden Week means a lot of manga series are going to take a break, I was actually expected to only review one manga, but that's only because that chapter was released last week. So I didn't think it would be anything else for this week, and that includes Fairy Tail. But either this is a leak, or this is something that's to say they don't really take a break from Golden Week. Maybe it's the former, I don't know at this time. With that said, yes, I have read 2 chapters from Fairy Tail because, of course, Mashima wants to do 2 chapters for the next 4 weeks, or in this case, for the next 3 weeks. So after this one, there's only 2 more weeks left with 2 chapters per week. With that said, yes, we have 2 chapters, and you know, on one hand, the fact that this is covering the rest of this Avatar arc, I guess you could say that's the arc. The fact that we're only covering the grounds of fighting and just beating them down and pretty much try to get this over with before we get to the next part of probably the real meat and potatoes of the series. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be more recruiting. I can't really say from this series. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. So, with that said, you know, maybe that's the reason why we're getting 2 chapters is because we get this done right away. So, on the other hand, that if that's the case, then I'm all for it. because, you know, if you go by like one chapter, it's gonna just, I wouldn't say it's drag on, but the fact that waiting would be a little bit mood killing, because it's like, okay, we only got that cool display of everybody showing their powers, so next week I'm assuming that team doing the same, and that person would do next, and so on and so on. So with the idea with 2 chapters per week, you know, it actually moves the pacing much faster in terms of like for us audience to get excited or get interested for the next upcoming chapters. So, you know, if it was by one, you know, the pace is not going to change anything. It's just the fact of waiting will do the changing part. So, like, say for example, 431, you got everybody showing off their power with Urza doing some power at the very end. Then you got to wait another week to see Lucy and then the other characters to show off. And then you got to wait another week, and then so on and so on. So, in case of using 2 chapters to get, not only to get a lot of things out of the way, it also makes the excitement grow faster, and it also makes it seem like a fun read for week time base. And it's a good thing that he's doing this whole 2 chapters per 4 weeks per weeks in 4 weeks. Well, however you say it. So my point is that the fact that he's doing this in this time is a good call. It's a very good call. And another plus side, it's not like he really he didn't go lazy on the art. It's all intriguing. It's all good. Everything seems intact, consistent. I like it. It has a lot of work put in there from Mashima. And, you know, it shows that this guy is talented with the art. He really likes to draw a lot of things. And, yeah, I'm not talking about just the fan service pose, but I'm just talking about in general. Like, he really does a lot of work. So, despite if the chapter doesn't really cover that much grounds, it still shows him how much he can really work in terms of drawing these panels and drawing these details and whatnot. So I give a huge credit to Mashima. With that said, these 2 chapters were enjoyable chapters. Definitely were enjoyable. And of course, I should have expected this arc was mainly to show off the powers of the Team Natsus. Let's call them that. What that consists: Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and Urza. I guess you want to put Happy in there and Charlo, but be my guess. But my point is that this arc is pretty much a display of newfound power. This usually always happens to a lot of shonen after coming back for a year break, 2 years break. You get that in every other shonen, or majority of them. I don't know. I can't say all of them. You never know. But majority of them, they do always go follow up a year pass with show off their new powers and everything else. So Fairy Tail is definitely no exception. So here we are. We're seeing Natsu and Gray about to show off their powers, going against the entire army, and you get like a double page of them just strike the entire army with their own perks, you know, ice and fire. Then Lucy, you know, since she could use the whole dress form thing, she went to Taurus. I'm sorry, Taurus. I said Tartarus. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah. Because of that, as you recall, Taurus is about like strength and like, you know, yeah, pretty much Hulk smash power. So with her in that dress, there's no exception that she can do that power, and pretty much did a huge crater in the ground. She did an earth wave using the whip, just the whip, and boom, it destroyed the entire ground. And yeah, she pretty damn strong if she used that dress. So, you know, that's good. That's pretty good. I do like this whole dress system that she has. Again, this reminds me of Final Fantasy X2, with the whole dress equals powers and magic with different powers that it contains, and pretty much that's what Lucy has now. And I like this because, you know, for the past, I don't know, I guess like over 300 chapters now, or 400 even, we have her doing the summons. She does fight on her own at times, which it could get interesting. So yeah, with the Star Dress power, now she gets into battle on her own with the summon. So it's like a tag team, and it's cool to do that. So that it's a right call on Mashima to give her this kind of power. And calming down like, yeah, I do such a cool pose where everybody just gets destroyed, and she's like, haha, this is so easy, and she wink. So definitely her characteristic, and it's really cool to see her actually kick ass. So yes, now, well, actually we can't get to that part. We got to get to this Gray part. Of course, Gray got his ice power, and then he has to show up by doing the snap. he has to do that pose. It's just, I guess you could say everybody's like acting like a boss. So yeah, it's pretty, again, this is all showcasing their newfound power after a year later. And everybody's doing it in a cool way. Everybody doing like hee or that cool stuff, whatever they do. You know how they are. The Fairy Tail do this thing and that. And Nasu, of course, using his overpowered fire blast. And you just see the villains. They were like, what the hell? Are they like monsters or animal beasts? And yeah, Mary's pretty much aroused by this whole event. And Briya, she's like, well, they're the only one to stop them. So Jerome is gonna go after Urza, I guess. Well, not guess, he is. And here's the thing. I'm not a huge fan, or I'm not a fan at all with Urza in battle form, because she's pretty broken when it comes to these cases. Because I like her as a character, as in like a standalone character, daily slice of life characteristic of her, whatever. I like her, but when it comes to battle, with her speech and stuff like that, mainly her battle, they tend to be over just too much. It's just overbearing, because if you look at the last fight she ever had, the fact that she overcome the problem, which is not bad to do so, but the main reason why she overcame the huge problem of losing senses is because she's Urza. That's all you need. That's insane explanation. That's literally like a explanation that we all could say. Period. So it just, I really dislike that moment. It's such a dumb thing. I mean, the battle could be enjoyable, but if there's something like that, like an ass pull or just like no explanation needed, it just ruins it for me. So with that being said, with Urza, now it's just gonna be because of the design, but I gotta say her new power with the whole sword that does the whole I think it was like what 6, 7, 8 sword. The whole design of it, okay, that is cool. So that reminds me of Blaze Blue, however you want to call it. It's a fighting game that got an anime as well. I haven't seen it. And there's this character named number 13, or there's like other ones. And if I recall correctly, it's part of one of those programs. It's a Marakumo unit. It's a long explanation. You gotta play the game to know what I'm talking about. So I can't really do any justification. I can't really do anything justice to this whole explanation. But yes, that's what it reminds me. And if you do type it up in Google, you put Blaze Blue number 13. You will see it will have the exact same design. Well, not exact same design, but it has the concept, that whole floating swords, 8 of them, which happens to be 8 of them. Maybe Mashima is a fan of it. I could be wrong. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. I mean, it's most likely not a unique thing, but it is cool. And you know what? For the Urza, it's pretty cool. I like the design. I really like that whole design. Again, they're showing off that this Mashima guy can really do a lot of work. He put in a lot of effort into his own work and the art. Like he said, it doesn't come out very lazy in these 2 chapters. They actually feel like he really worked his butt off, and again, kudos. So seeing Urza having a really cool design, Jerome happened to wanted to go against her. Bad idea. So not just because it's Urza, but look at that design. Damn it. But yeah, so going against her, you know, they square off, they fight for a short while, really short, and you know, pretty much the bad guys thinks, oh, it's Jerome of the Dark Soul, we're gonna win. Then when they clash, apparently his sword could corrode anything it touches, because it's a dark sword. Okay, but there's a problem. This is Urza, so her sword, I have no idea what happens, but it doesn't let him realize that it touched you. I'm sorry, not you, him. So he got defeated very easily. I don't even know how it works. I guess she just did the usual anime samurai showdown moment, you know, where you slash the guy, but it looks like you didn't slash him until you stop and close it, put away your sword, sealed it, and then boom, slash, or stuff like that. You know how the whole thing they always do. But then again, Urza just stand up pose, and then it just happened on his own. So yeah, I know it's gonna overpower her more, and I know I'm gonna deal with that again in time future. But again, that design is pretty damn cool. That's all I can say about that. So, you know, not bad. And again, this chapter was just an entire show off the power, and pretty much start off with Urza just pretty much one-shot Jerome, because she's just that overpowered now. And then everybody's got so scared now, and she's like, okay, so who's still not giving up? Yeah, again, fun chapter. And then the next chapter, again, more fun chapter. We go with Lucy, you know, she's still doing her thing, and then her stomach has a problem. Well, first it came with Taurus. He's having a stomach ache, but then that's when you find out Mary's doing her black magic, that whole virus thing that eats from the inside, which is brutal. So we have her coming in and pretty much, you know, messing around, and I guess if time goes on, she probably had to find a toilet, or if she doesn't find a toilet, oops. So yeah, thank God it didn't happen all the way. So, so we pretty much have her struggling from that whole thing, and you know, Mary asking questions like, are you Gray's old friends, the wizard from that famous fairy tale and stuff like that? You're weak. It's kind of hilarious. And apparently she can't do that magic to anywhere else, including the brain. So as soon as she was about to do that, it didn't work, because Wendy canceled that out with the body animality reversal magic dispel, and also body animality reversal magic enchant. So just in time, yay! Then she shows up with Charles, and yeah, that means she finally finished healing up Juvia. Or then again, she's not supposed to be there, right? So that's coming in the later scene, which I actually find that kind of funny, to be honest. But anyway, yeah. So Wendy shows up just in time, and pretty much Lucy finally gets her payback with a Lucy punch. And let me get this out of the way. I know it's not spreading out, and thankfully it's not spreading out. But maybe thankfully it's not spreading out because it is connected to the character that a lot of people really hate. So they really don't want to connect that character to the hateable character. So maybe that's why this is getting scot-free. I could be wrong, but yes, Lucy does her punch. She did a Superman punch. I don't mean the Superman from the comic. I mean like Superman from wrestling. She really how she like doing that shotgun stuff for pose, and then he just punched the crap out of her. And yeah, what goes around comes around, and pretty much she has super strength. And yeah, that got her hurt. But hey, she deserved that. She freaking deserved that. So yeah, no comparison needed, please. And that's it. Not Wendy. Lucy got her revenge, and yep. And just imagine if she didn't show up, Lucy would probably have to do something. So thankfully, we don't have to see that. And now we get with Gray going against Briar, and pretty much her talking about like, how could you betray? How could you do this? Like, I really didn't betray because I would never join that girl. The usual thing, they're talking to each other. And then she does her clone power, which, I kind of wish that was the case for the other series to do that clone thing, because it would have been amusing and something kind of funny to watch. You got there's 4 of her, but they all represent different one. One smiles a lot, one is in love, one just grieves all day, and the other one's just pissed off the chain. So, that would have been amusing to see more of that, which is unfortunate that it actually ended so quickly in this chapter. But yeah, it was kind of amusing just to see all clones with different personality, 100% of that one personality. And one of the last one was like, I might be falling in love with you, Gray. Just a little bit. And since Wendy helped out Juvia, it begs the question, why is Wendy there? And I thought they were supposed to stay home. That's when you get the idea Juvia is the one that want to go meet Gray. And would you know it, Juvia shows up at the right time where she said, I might be in love with you, Gray. And so she gonna assume that she has a new love rival, and she beat the crap out of the love version. And Gray just got chills, which I admit I kind of laugh at it, because it's just the expression of like, oh crap, I'm gonna die. Even though Juvia would never do anything bad to Gray, it's just funny. He's like, oh crap, please tell me to be a prowler behind me, something like that. He has that kind of look like, please. So yeah. Yeah, I guess you could say Gray is really scared of Juvia for more than one reason now. And then the other clones, again, they all get frozen, and it's a bit shame that we didn't get to see more of those kind of action. It would have been a little bit entertaining, but again, this is about showing off the powers of the new fairy tale and new and improved Team Nasus, now featuring Wendy's and Juvia, which is nice, I guess. So Juvia, of course, so missed him so much. They got back together. Gray did feel wrong because, of course, Gray freaking left her without knowing any acknowledgement of what's his plan. The demon power can't be controlled. I mean, stuff like that. At least he said sorry, and at least he said, "I'll do the explanation, but not right now because obviously they got other things to do." I don't know if we're going to cover that. If we do, see, a lot of things does get solved. If we don't, well, it got solved, I guess. So, yeah, again, it's neat. A little small detail. I like things that needs to be dealt with rather than like, apology accepted. Like, where? Where do you say apology accepted? Not even your action says apology accepted. I dislike that, especially when you do it such a long time. Now, just imagine this chapter were to happen like 300 chapters later, after we find out Gray turned bad. Just imagine that. It would have been brutal. Brutal. I would not like this. So this one, it came in the right time because it was short. So, whatever. That's what I needed. I don't need to drag on forever and ever. So then Gray and Juvia strip out their coats and get ready to battle. I guess Juvia is definitely adapted to that stripping down. So yeah, more fan service for ya in the future. Maybe. So yeah. Wendy gets in the battle. She go her Dragon Force. And I kinda wish it was colored because I do like the look of hers when she goes Dragon Force. And yeah, she just pretty much dominated them easy. So yeah, a lot of people could kick ass if you haven't noticed. More panels of them beating up every single one of them. And then you have the leader. just standing there, just can't believe that this is happening. But the purification ritual must be made. So then, of course, Nasu coming down there, telling him the reason why we're winning, the reason why this is easily handled, is because we are Fairy Tail. The usual stuff you always hear from Nasu. But hey, it's something that you're always going to get from him, and it's something you're probably going to get from a lot of people when it comes to the end of the arc, which we are getting close to that anyway. So, again, this is just they're just using these characters to pretty much to show off their power. Every shonen, okay, not every, but most shonen does this, and I'm fine with that. It's kind of a little shame some of them could have some potential or some a little bit fun aspect to their powers. They could have do something with it, but it seems like that's not the case with them. Maybe the leader will be a little bit stronger, but I doubt it. So yeah, I guess that's the case. Overall, these 2 chapters, they were fun. It was pretty entertaining, and I pretty much. I guess the next 2 chapter will deal with the entire Natsu going against the leader, and that's where we'll probably be done, and then we probably have a small recap. Now, I'm still wondering about the whole Evil Grey killing Frosh and stuff like that. I don't know about the whole thing with that, because I feel like either the whole thing is canceled out because, hey, we changed the future, stuff like that, and I don't know. If that's canceled out, that's pretty disappointing. If it doesn't cancel out and it's pretty much one of those moments of, even though that moment he's not bad, it could still happen. Just keep your eye on him until that power of that darkness power is gone for good. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, these 2 chapters were pretty enjoyable chapters. I was entertained. I liked the action scenes. It was all fun and games. I like the entire new powers from these characters. Again, I like the design from Urza. It just looks so damn cool. Man, I'm amused by that whole design. I like the fact Lucy can really start kicking ass on her own. There's nothing wrong with the summons, but the fact she could do summons and fight on her own is impressive. And I like that. The whole star dress system. I actually like to see more for other characters and what they could do for that benefit power. So I like that she could be a really enjoyable character to see fighting in action, like the whole magical stuff. So in the future we'll see who she will face in a very equal battle or a very strong hardship battle, whatever. Grey got like crazy ice, stronger ice power. She could just do a cool pose apparently. Natsu is just overpowered with the entire fire blast that seems like you were in the lava, and yeah, that's about it. But again, everybody's stronger and everybody united, and now we're about to see probably the end of this Avatar Priest going against Natsu. So enjoyable chapters, I like them. Then not much to say here. They were pretty fun, and I do like the fact that these 2 chapters not only showcase that Mashima is a hard worker, but the fact that we're getting this done underway, that at least we may get to the real fun, as in the real story after this arc. Maybe, just maybe, but in due time. I still wonder what the heck is gonna do, what we're gonna do with Gajil, Levi, and even Sabretooth. I don't even know what to do with these. I don't even know what we're gonna expect from them. I guess I would save up for the last 2 chapter. The last 2 chapter of the last week of 2 chapters spree. So we'll see. That was fun chapters, and look forward to more. Now we're on to 7 Deadly Sins. If you remember the last chapter, Henderson made a surprise return and helped out Guild Thunder and the rest against the Asher Demon, and did a one-shot technique on it with Purge, and that leads to flashbacks, because Guild Thunder doesn't understand what is all this about, why Henderson and Dreyfus, well, more of Henderson actually, did this whole crazy attack on Britannian, trying to take down the entire kingdom. of course, Henderson right now is completely different from the Henderson that we saw before, with the whole demonic power and the whole taking down the entire human race and everything else that stands before him, and as well as trying to unseal the seal that's holding back the demons, the demon clans, especially the Ten Commandments, which is now released, even though they are being nerfed because of the seal of the goddess is still taking its toll. But the fact is, they're still released and they're gonna rage hell. So now this brings the question: what's up with Henderson and why everything is happening this way, and why he came back, and why he knows so much about the entire demon and everything else, including Dreyfus being alive. So, this chapter is pretty much the entire flashback, and I gotta say, this chapter was pretty good. I really like the chemistry between Henderson and Dreyfus, and as well as their determination to get to become a strong holy knight for their own reasons, and they even have like a Henderson past being uncovered in here that makes everything connected so well, and it makes it understanding why these two can get along so well. And it's a huge shame that towards the end, minus that I wouldn't say plot twist, but like that revelation of that one demon, what happened to him. We'll get to that soon. Not that part, but I'll talk about the end of the flashback between Henderson and Dreyfus uncovering the mysterious hole that seems to be empty, only to find out there is one thing in there waiting for someone to come. So, it's a huge shame, and it makes sense, because if you go back to the older chapters, the older chapter doesn't really contradict the scene, or doesn't really try to betray and try to rewrite his own history, because Henderson did come off like a good guy, or once a good guy. I mean, a lot of people worship him until he does all this demonic experiment, and pretty much try to destroy the entire kingdom. So, with that said, it makes sense why all of a sudden he's a bad guy, and same thing for Dreyfus. Even though Dreyfus, his identity is being, seen as a hero that has lost. But as Henderson is a hero that has gone evil, and is good riddance to him that he is dead. It is that kind of way. But Dreyfus is more. It means more because the fact that there's the demon named Frundren, he see the greatest potential from him out of the two. But let's get to the chapter before we get to the very end of that flashback. So basically, we left off with them going to check out the hole that's left for them, and their Majesty send them there to see the destruction, to see what could cause the destruction of Denethor. And pretty much they're going to go in there, and it's pretty dark, and you see a lot of interaction between them since entering that hole. And you have them there's a lot of interaction between them, but again, it display a great chemistry from these two. You can see why they become such a good friend. Well, they were already a good friend, but you can see why they are good friends. And again, you see a lot of hints from the older chapters, so it's no surprise to why they are such a good friends, and why they care for each other so much. And it makes sense why Henderson, he heavily cared for Dreyfus, as well as vice versa. But of course, you don't get that much from the vice versa scenario. You only get more from Henderson to Dreyfus. That because Dreyfus is fully under spell. But to recap this entire scene. Basically, they go inside, they check it out, they use their Henderson used the incantation orb, which basically glows there, basically like a light glow, and they just tease around like, are you afraid of the dark and stuff like that. And you know, when they talk about being afraid of the dark, they get to the past of Henderson. When he was a child, he was basically assigned to guard the graves of the dead. And you know, he hated doing that because he just wanted to get away with these dead bodies as soon as possible. Hey, come on, you're just standing there just looking at corpses. It is going to be boring for such a young age, no less. So, of course, this is no exception. And, you know, it is his job, and because they want to make sure that the dead bodies will be filled with abominable souls and pretty much come back to life. You know, think as a zombie case. So, yeah, and once he was trying to get away as soon as possible, that's where he gets the power of acid. And because of that, it actually backfired because a lot of people think he's a cursed child. And so everybody want to kick him out. And yeah, that's the case. He sees it as a bad thing. He sees it like, like a coward thing just to walk away because everybody pretty much says, get out of here. You're a monster. You're a little monster. But Dreyfus just makes it, make it into a nice thing. He's just like, it's not a coward thing. It's a kind thing. You're so kind. It's a good thing. And you know, it pretty much shows you they understand each other so well in order to balance it out for one weakness or over another. So it's like you can see how Dreyfus is trying to encourage him that, you know, if you're not really a coward and you're just a kind guy, and because you're kind, you could be a great holy knight. And, you know, he's thinking to himself, maybe it's not a good idea to be a holy knight. It doesn't seem fitable for me. But, you know, Dreyfus thinking is a good idea. Because, you know, holy knight should be about kindness and well-protected people. And for Dreyfus, he wanted to become the powerful holy knight because he wants to guard the kingdom and his peace. And not only that, but he wants his son to have someone that he can be proud of. So again, this whole interaction between each other is really nicely shown. It's really nice to display with the art showing their facial expression, the understanding, and the entire dialogue itself seems very genuine. You get the understanding in such a short manner, and you really understand some of it in the flashback or the older chapter. And here you get the more understanding, and they get to understand each other about being a holy knight. What's the good purpose of it? Then the bad news comes in, and that's when one of the demons coming from the shadows just pretty much ambush and ambush, and what it wants is just want to offer. He wants a body in order to grow, in order to regain strength. So in due time, once he regain strength, he's gonna just go on his own and do his own ways. But maybe not. Maybe he would just stay in that body because sometimes a fusion with another strong body, you only be unstoppable, or you know what I mean. You'd be much stronger than your only singular person. Or demon in this case. So he went after Dreyfus, and he was trying to take it by force, but Dreyfus was actually pretty strong. He has a strong heart. He has a strong will. It's that he could actually prevent it, more or less. And, you know, he couldn't, and the demon did have a hard time to try to manipulate him. So instead, he went after Henderson, who was actually easily under spell, and that's unfortunate because the fact that Dreyfus could counter it or prevent it well enough, Henderson easily got taken down, and because of that, it caused. Again, these two has a good friendship going on. They already have a huge bond together. So seeing this case, he either gonna have him suffering, his best friend having suffering from the demon being controlled, and to the point that he could actually get killed, and it won't matter to him. He could just use him like a walking corpse, which would suck. So, it goes to show you the sacrifice Dreyfus would rather have. Either have Henderson being under control and just being there and pretty much never go back to the way it is, or either that or have Dreyfus actually allow the demon control him. And he pretty much said, do whatever you want. In other words, he would let him control him, so long he doesn't kill Henderson. So he's like, okay, I will do that. I will guarantee that this man's life will be spared. So that's how I explained. That's how I explained the entire scenario with Dreyfus and Fraudrin, how they became together. So there you go. And then when they got out the hole, they're pretty much under the spell, which explains a lot from the past chapters. I don't really mind this so much because, the series hasn't been going on for over 300 chapters or so. It's only been 124, and it is believable to say that they are under spell for this long, especially the fact that they have been showing the good human nature side, and then they show their will of power in the later scenes, especially for Henderson. Again, before he went to Action Demon form, you have Henderson talking like a friendly guy when he said that he wanted Dreyfus to see the day that he become this strong, and then he turned to Action Demon and he wasn't like himself anymore. So I guess you could say when he did the seal, Henderson is finally released from all spells, every demonic inside of him, and now he could talk freely without anything to be so rotten. So that was the end of that flashback, and the three guys couldn't believe what they heard, but it makes sense. I don't know if they're gonna just forgive Henderson, and the sad thing is not everybody's gonna forgive him because again, he was under spell, so the world may never know if he's truly innocent. And of course, it's kind of hard to believe because it's a demon that had been taken over for such a long time. But yeah, I don't know how if he's going to get redemption. I don't know how it's going to be played, and I hope this series does a good job to make the redemption. Now, it's not really his fault, and I applaud to that because he was under the spell, and it makes sense to be under the spell rather than doing all that will, and then you could just trust him out of the blue. If he's under the spell and now he's a good guy, it may be a little bit hard to trust him still, but you get the idea that since he was under the spell and now he's free and now he's doing a lot of good things, I could trust him a little. I could gain trust. But if you got a guy who's just pure at heart and he still kill everyone and then he just turned good, that would be questionable, and that's something that you just cannot rush in and just say apology accepted. So in here, I don't know how Henderson feels about himself, thinking you can forgive me, right? So it doesn't go there because we're going to another flashback, and that's where the main piece of the story comes in, because this involved with Melodus, the protagonist of the series, and this is where we learn that the same demon, Fraudrin. The thing is, Fraudrin did fight Melodus in the past, I believe 16 years ago. Yes, it's 16 years ago. They fought each other. Fraudrin lost, but he didn't die. He just came into hiding and waited until the time he regained strength. But in that day, he did die. Only the problem is, there was something that he takes before he died, quote unquote. And that's the fact that he's the one that killed the woman that Melodus loved. And yes, he's the killer. He is the one. So I guess we have our final boss. I don't know if I could say that's a final boss, because lately a lot of final boss always has to connect to the protagonist. And it always has to be the one that caused everything, the root of all evil. So far, Fraudrin seems to be the root of all evil. And this is the case. So, yeah, he's the one that killed Liz. And pretty much we're going to get that flashback. So, if the flashback this chapter was so good, I'm all for the next one. I mean, I'm always all for the flashbacks chapters because they're always good to read and they're always fun to explore the past times. So in this one, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Overall, this chapter, I really was entertained. I'm really enjoying the entire friendship between Dreyfuss and Henderson. I really like this. I can see why this series is such a really good series for a lot of people, and I know it had. At least I think I know. It doesn't seem that big in America or big in the Western side. Japan, they're definitely really liking this series more than we do, at least. But you know, coming from their point of view and seeing myself this manga, I haven't seen the anime, but this manga alone, I could definitely see why a lot of people enjoy this series so much, and I do too. This series is really good. I really like the art and everything, and the story is actually really fun to read. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can say. I can't wait for the next chapter to see how this all comes down. This is getting me excited. So here we are in chapter 40 of Boku no Hero Academia, and yes, as many predicted, this was the last chapter of the battle. And you know, I seen a lot of people feeling a bit mixed about this result and the overall chapter. For me, I see it as a good thing and something like a risk take from the mangaka himself. So maybe this is not such a bad idea. But in due time, maybe in hindsight, it might be a bad thing, or it could be just something new take on how to explore the characters without having the protagonist trying to reach into the top, and maybe most likely get interrupted during the tournament. Who knows? But I'm actually interested to see how this goes down now. So if you haven't noticed already, pretty much Deku lost this tournament, and yeah, that's the wrap. The tournament ended for him. Surprisingly, I guess it's like the Pokemon twist when you first watch Pokemon in your childhood with the Indigo Plateau, and you just see him, Ash, lose in such an early run rather than going to the top, and maybe either win the ball or lose. Because a lot of series does make the main character at least win the entire tournament, or if not, just reach it to the top 2 or top 4. And here's top 8. So it's a bit surprising to see it ended so short for him, Deku. So, but I want to see how this goes down. Like I said, it could get interrupted, or the tournament actually goes through to the very end, and you actually see the winner and the chosen one to be the hero because of the tournament result. So, not only that, this chapter was mainly about the development with Deku and Shoto. So, this was a pretty good chapter still. Again, it is interesting to see what's going to take place now that Deku is out of the tournament. Going with the beginning, you have Endeavor so excited because, of course, Shoto now unleashed the fire power the fire quirk that came from his father. So now he just want to see the day that he surpassed Hero All Might, and of course he's gonna first surpass Deku, which he's already surpassed him, of course, but. Now the training truly begins since he unleashed the firepower. Now he could just, pretty much train that power and pretty much become more stronger than All Might, which that means Endeavor is stronger than All Might. This guy is an idiot. So pretty much thanks to Deku pep talk and all the talk that Deku did to Shoto and all that conversation, the whole give it all you got, is that all you got, the whole thing, provoking him to use everything he has, and now he finally does it. And the weird thing is, it's not weird, but it's more like now Deku sees it, this is a good idea? Because, of course Deku wants everybody to do their best, but the fact that Shoto actually unleashed full power version, now it's like, well, I got myself into. I pretty much lost this battle. So, you could get that sense from his expression, like, crap, this is not good. So, you know what? Let's go for it. I'm hell bent to show off everything I got. So both of them is gonna use all their strength, and pretty much the referee had to intervene because the full power of them. Well, I'm not sure it's really full power, but they pretty much put a lot of power into the fact that the referee has to say, crap, this is gonna get worse. This is gonna, like, I don't know, explode the entire arena. So they had to pretty much nerf it, prevent it from making it much worse than it needed to be. So, you know, of course, once they clash each other, yeah, you get the sense without the referee doing anything to it, the arena would actually implode by the explosion between these two heavy power. So after the blast, we pretty much see who's the one that's real left standing. And again, surprisingly, Deku is the one that's off the arena, and therefore he is disqualified. Because, you know, once you step out of the bound, that's a loss, and if the other opponent is still in the ring, then yeah, he's the winner. So yeah, again, Shoto ended up being the winner, and that's a shocking turn of event. Maybe not the most shocking thing of all, but the fact is like, you know, again, this is so early on, and now I don't know if the tournament will continue on, as in seeing it for ourselves per se. It's just that means, like, is Deku development ends here for now, and then until wait to the later arc. I mean, it will be more maybe you just like understanding the character, seeing from in an audience perspective view, but you know, just the fact that he's not part of the tournament is pretty surprising. Again, Pokemon kind of did it first, but my point is, it's been a while seeing the protagonist not being in the tournament this long, and you know, like I said, in a lot of different tournaments, they usually get to this long, and then they stop it very short. And you know, again, it's not the very unique thing, but it is a rare thing to do. So, you know, if seeing this is kind of refreshing. It's been a while, trust me. So, but yeah. And you got the audience, you know, pretty much thinking, like, Deku is an idiot for trying to do this idea. He just provoked him and there was no plan to it. You would expect Deku to do something amazing, like, aha, I got you trapped because I made you to use full power. But there is nothing to it. It is what it is. As in, oh, he really made him go full power and pretty much made himself more trouble and lost. So, no hype, you know? So that's what happens to Deku. Then the ending of this guy, development Shoto, he goes back in the arena and ends up passing by his father. Pretty much his father's so proud because, you know, the control of the flame is now intact, and now he can start training, and then once he started getting perfect with it, then he will be the guy who is going to be stronger than All Might, which that means Endeavor will be better than All Might, which is, you know, again, he using his own son to, you know, get a payback on All Might by using his son and surpassing him. You know the old expression, you gotta live through me, stuff like that. You know, he basically using the new generation as his way to win. So that's how he's rolling. But Shoto says, you know, there's no way things could flip around so easily. It's just that in that moment, that second, I forgot you. So basically, I guess that means that he's starting to understand himself. He's starting to understand the idea of not caring about who you're inheriting from, where you get the power from. It's all about what you have as yourself. So pretty much he's starting to learn more and more about that. And, you know, it's a good development for him. Even though he still needs to think, I still think it's going to the right direction. And now he's like no longer being held against because of circumstances like, you know, the fact it represents his dad, and of course he had a horrible childhood with his father. So, you know, he's not going to use that power. But in this case, he's starting to understand that, it doesn't really matter if I inherited from that asshole of dad. I still think this power belongs to me, and I should use it at all costs whenever it means necessary. So he pretty much gonna to start more developing on being a lone character rather than a character that's based on the older generation. So that's a good sign. I kind of wish he completely understand that, but I guess it takes his time. I mean, again, his childhood pretty much lived through that, so that's understandable. I'm not gonna hold grudge on that. Then we have Deku pretty much in a nurse office, and they pretty much telling the nurse is pretty much telling All Might that this is way too much. He literally is so heavily damaged, and you could just see him just laying on that bed. It's just awful. Like, again, all the one for all power is great and everything, but the fact is he's still young to doing this, and him trying to do it in a high level, it's just too much, to the fact that he's gonna break himself before he even gets used to it. So pretty much the nurse put All Might in a very, very bad position, making him look like a guy who really shouldn't do anything about it. It shouldn't be praising like you did a good job or anything. Just make him look like a fool for making Deku, trying to encourage Deku to do all the best he can, even if he's in a weaker stage. And then his friend came in, and they all felt worried about it, and then then the nurse kicked him out pretty much because he's gonna do the surgery, and yeah, that's pretty much what happens to them. I guess you could really say that Deku really put a huge damage to his whole body since that last moment. Then Deku finally wakes up, or more like maybe he's already awake, but he finally gets to speak, and he pretty much says he's sorry. He wants to show it. He wants to pretty much show the world that he has done it. He has arrived. He is the hero that the world has been waiting for. Well, not been waiting for, but more like, a new hero. Something that a lot of people will appreciate for him to come. But now, that being said, he's there, not in the tournament anymore. And even though he did a good thing for helping Shoto. Again, when you look back in the chapter, or even the last chapter, he's getting to understand his own self. He's understanding what it means to be a hero, and without relying on the older generation. It's all about what you are. So, again, even though he didn't completely understand, he's learning about it. So that's a good sign. However, Deku has lost the battle, so therefore he's no longer in the tournament. So the only thing he feels now is regretting. He feels like he regret helping him. So he knows it's not his business, but he just want to help him because he just don't want another person to hold back. He don't want anyone else to hold back. He wants everybody to be joy. He wants everybody to, be happy about themselves, having the power, having the opportunity to become a hero. But that would lead Deku into the bad position, because Deku is still new. Everyone he come across, well, not everyone, but mainly Bakugo and Shoto, they're like high tier. They're like the stronger tier of the hero. And he had a great chance to be Shoto, because again, ice, it could be easily break by one for all power. But when it comes to fire, and the fact that Deku only has like limited power, since every time he attacks, whatever he attacks it from, it breaks. So he had a chance, but instead he encouraged him to go full power, and he did, and that's where it leads to Deku lost. So now he feel regret, and All Might is telling him like it is like a hard decision. It is understandable why you should feel regret, but in a way you should not take it the wrong way. It's an outcome that could be helped. But you know what? butting your nose in is one of the principal quality of a hero. So in other words, All Might is pretty much telling him, yes, you technically did the wrong idea, but at the same time, you did the right thing. Because even though you had the opportunity to win the tournament, the battle at least, you still care for another person, because you could see another person being held back by circumstances. So he helped Shoto. That's good. And in the end, that's what it really matters. That's what one of the qualities of a hero. See, the thing about Deku, the quality of heroes for Deku it's not really about strength, power, or like anything that the typical heroes in terms of actions. He's more of a hero of support and mental. So while that's good, and that's always good to have, I'm still waiting for the day that he will become a hero in complete form. But I guess that's the point of this chapter and the entire tournament for Deku, is because it's all about him caring about a lot of people and understanding people. But the time of being strong and powerful, that will have to wait, because he can't use that quirk easily yet. He it damaged him so easy. He keep going back in the nurse's office, and it's just gonna keep going and going until you finally get used to it. So yeah, in other words, it's too early for him. So that's the chapter. And again, I'm interested to see how it's gonna be playing out in the upcoming chapters. Like, no Deku in the tournament. Now we're just gonna have Deku in the audience, which should be alright, but it's gonna challenge the readers to see if Deku is a good protagonist or anything that you care about. You don't want to make him like a second fiddle. You want to make him the one of the primary focus, and of course have the main priority over anyone else. So seeing this is a strange turn of event, but we'll see how it plays. Like I said, the tournament can be interrupted. The villain did watch the whole fight, so maybe now he probably go get a mission to go invade. I don't know. Anything's possible. We probably are going to see in the entire tournament, but we'll see. So yeah, this was a pretty good chapter. I can understand the mixed feeling of coming from this, but I'm gonna give it a time. And if it doesn't go well, then I think this was a bad idea. So give it time. And that's it for the podcast. And I was really expecting only one review, which is Boku no Hero Academia. But it surprised me because Fairy Tales and Seven Deadly Sins chapters just released out of the blue. And soon you know it, there might be Tokyo Ghoul, because apparently that was on break as well. I don't know scheduling like that. So I'm still new to this whole scheduling idea. And yeah, that's all there is to it. And there won't be no other podcast for this week. It's just one podcast this week. And then next week, we'll continue on with 2 podcasts per week, because this whole Golden Week has screwed me up a little bit. For all I know, this recording actually might be posted on Thursday or Friday. It's just that's how long I wasn't really prepared for this. That's all I'm saying. But next time I will be prepared, and this is all, I guess you could say, life lesson, for lack of better wording. So I'll get used to this, how scheduling things work out, and in due time we're gonna start seeing a little bit more refreshing way of the podcast. We're gonna start seeing some images, one still images. I know you're tired of this black background with just text, and that was it. So, I'm still growing more and more, and I'm learning how to get my own transition in podcast review. I'm learning how to do that, and there will be more extras in upcoming week. So get ready for those. Like more stuff, more materials, and I am going to start watching animes by May. So get ready for more discussions, and we're gonna have to talk about animes, and let's see how much I can discuss. And I am talking about in general. I'm not just talking about this season alone. I'm talking about past seasons, like the spring, like the winter, or even the last year one. Whatever it is worth mentioning. So yeah, I'm going to start doing all those starting May, and yeah, I'm hoping I get in track. I hope I start to improve myself in the podcast, and yeah, that's all I could say. So keep supporting this podcast. Subscribe if you haven't. Spread the words, and thank you for being with me in this Sparda's World podcast. I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.